This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it is Petrie here with you, and just a reminder that coming up at the top of the hour we have Amy Fisher. She'll be here to go through the papers, but right now we're going to talk about the battle of the behemoths of technology. The legal battle between Elon Musk and OpenAI has entered its second week over in Oakland in California. Musk, who concluded 3 days of testimony last Thursday, alleges a bait-and-switch betrayal, claiming that Sam Altman and Greg Brockman abandoned OpenAI's founding non-profit mission to build a commercial giant. So basically the agreement was that they were not going to go commercial. Musk left on that basis. Well, Andy hated Sam Altman. And now they've gone commercial and Musk is upset about it. The $150 billion lawsuit centres on allegations of a breach of charitable trust and unjust enrichment. With a $1 trillion IPO at stake, the case is a philosophical referendum. Is AI a public utility, or is it a private commodity? The verdict will define whether Silicon Valley's altruistic foundations can survive the gravity of unprecedented corporate profit. My money's on corporate profit. That's what's going to win. But here to discuss this with me further is the fabulous Burton Kelso, my brother from another mother, chief tech expert at Integral in Kansas City, USA. Burton Kelso, may the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you too.
Okay, I know you're a huge fan of Star Wars, so I just had to introduce you in that way.
I appreciate that.
Listen, the battle of the behemoths here, Godzilla versus King Kong is what some people have described it as. It's all a bit odd to me, this, Burton. What really is behind this?
Well, I think, like you stated, it's corporate greed. And I think it's just male egos going back and forth, because obviously OpenAI and ChatGPT has evolved further than what anyone had anticipated. So it's Elon having his feelings hurt, but at the same time, it's Sam Altman saying, well, we can stay as a nonprofit, but at the same time, with the way AI has exploded, there's really no way that as a nonprofit that we can continue to provide AI in a sense that the world wants it, and not have the funding that is going to that needs to happen in order to us to keep evolving and creating with AI.
So Sam Altman's argument is that he's got to make corporate profit in order to keep it free for everybody to use.
Right.
So that doesn't sound like too bad an argument, but Musk, his argument in that, well, this was supposed to be for, and he's against this, them making profit, when he's got his own AI company, XAI, which is all about corporate profit. So he's not talking in altruistic terms, right?
Exactly. And that's the biggest problem with this lawsuit, is just the simple fact that you've got Elon Musk, who has his own private XAI company. And I think it boils down to, I had a protege, he's doing better than I am, I've got the money, I'm going to sue this guy, and I'm going to prevent this large IPO, which is probably the largest in global history, $1 trillion opening initial public offering. And I think really in this state of what we're dealing with, I hate that this is even in the news, because I think we have to understand that AI has to evolve. It's here. It's a part of our life. And if OpenAI needs to evolve from a nonprofit to a private company or a publicly traded company, it needs to happen. I mean, I hate to say, and I hate those words that are about to come out of my mouth. Essentially, Elon is right, that you really can't start off as a nonprofit and go and say, well, now we want to be a for-profit company. But I think AI has definitely become a larger role across the globe. So what is logically the next step that OpenAI needs to take, and that is to transform from a nonprofit to a company that is for profit for the greater good. And I think that's what OpenAI's argument is.
And I mean, does Musk therefore think he's entitled because he left Open AI? He and Sam Altman, I believe, had a big fallout. But he left there because he was saying, "Look, I'm just funding this startup company, and I'm fed up with it." But is he now saying that he wants a slice of the IPO because he should have been paid out when he left?
No, Elon actually wants them to lose out and saying that if it shouldn't be, well, actually, with the lawsuit money, he wants to give it to some nonprofit. And the 150, is it 150 billion that he's
Yeah.
suing for? He wants that to actually go to a nonprofit. But I still think it's the fact that he may be wounded ego wise, that the fact that OpenAI has transformed itself into this global monstrosity as opposed to what has happened with X and everything X related, that he's not the top dog. And I think ultimately that is why the argument's there. But again, I do see both sides. But I think ultimately, if we're going, I think what needs to happen in this instance is that you have to allow OpenAI to transform from a nonprofit to a global powerhouse, because ChatGPT, Sora, and all of its other forms have just evolved
Yeah.
where so many businesses
Unlike
depend on it.
Grot. Is it Grot? His or
It's
Grok?
Grok.
I think it's Grot.
Like Grok, like a like a frog. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So that is not doing as well. In fact, there's a lot of problems with that. Always pushing that Elon Musk is the greatest man that ever lived to the top of its search engines. But this is complicated as well, isn't it? By Microsoft suggesting to Elon Musk that they buy it. That they buy OpenAI, and that would be a conflict, surely, to the lawsuit.
It would be a conflict to the lawsuit, but a lot of people don't realize that Microsoft is actually the benefactor that came in after Elon and said, "Hey, we want to see you succeed." And so tools like Copilot exist because they have used the technology from OpenAI's ChatGPT. So, I mean, it seems like a logical suggestion from Microsoft. But then again, it goes to the ego of Elon of now I've got this other powerhouse that I have to compete with. So I would rather them be turned to ashes and have my AI be on a more equal scale as far as how competitive we can be in the marketplace. Because
Wow.
when you think of AI, you think of OpenAI's ChatGPT,
Yeah.
Copilot, and Grot, as you called it, are they're further from the global conscious as far as AI is concerned.
So the battle of the egos, then, but where does that leave us? Because talking about Silicon Valley, there's been an awful lot said about these AI companies being massively overvalued, and an IPO of $1 trillion would seem to back that up, that they're banking on an enormous value going forward on a technology that sometimes is more bluff and bluster than it is actual technology. So, at some point, there could be a massive collapse in this entire market.
It's a good possibility with that as far as AI is concerned, but I think there are so many different chatbots that there's probably a large language model like ChatGPT that may be waiting in the wings to rise from the ashes of this battle and to take place. I mean, I really think that we are in a position with AI that it's not going to go away. We've tasted the forbidden fruit. So these two companies may go away, but the sole purpose of AI or OpenAI's mission was to see the downfall of Google. That was the whole purpose of ChatGPT. So who may rise from the ranks? It may be Uncle Google that becomes the preferred chatbot after all of this bluff and buster or bluster goes on. So I mean, I don't think AI is going anywhere. It's just who is going to reign Silicon Valley as the AI king once this is all said and done.
I mean, the main thing I think in terms of safety and security for the public is that it doesn't all end up with the same tech bros, right? That they don't have this stranglehold on AI and forcing us all down a tunnel that we don't want to go. That it has to be open. That was the whole point, is that it's not held by a few hands that can corrupt the rest of the world.
Exactly. And I think what has evolved since 2022, since ChatGPT hit the screen, is that you've seen a lot of smaller companies fight for their market share of AI. And so much to the point that you can't just rely on ChatGPT as your only AI chatbot, that there are a variety of tools that are out there. So I think that while OpenAI's ChatGPT kind of has the collective consciousness of the world, there are so many different chatbots out there in different forms of AI that they won't dominate as much as they want to. They won't be the AI tool for all use. Like right now, Anthropic's Claude is starting to climb to the top as the preferred large language model or AI choice, because you're starting to see a shift from the prompting AI tools to more agentic AI, meaning that people are looking for AI that's going to help with automation. And ChatGPT hasn't quite reached that level yet. They're still back in 2022, 2023 as far as prompts. But tools like Claude and other tools like it are starting to lead the forefront in 2026.
I mean, does Sam Altman still, even though he wants to go ahead with this IPO, raising $1 trillion in order to continue with AI, does he fundamentally still believe that it should be in the hands of all people, or does this mount a threat to them becoming the most powerful AI company and holding all that intellectual property to themselves?
Well, I think there's a lot of programs that are tied into utilizing ChatGPT and that technology. I mean, there's been several large language models that have been built using ChatGPT. So I don't think the overall goal is to necessarily be the most well-known. I think overall their goal is, like Google's, to be able to monitor and collect data and sell that on like Uncle Google does, but at the same time to be the engine behind a lot of the large language models that you see on the market. So not necessarily the Titan that we're the only tool, but we want to be known in the space, but we recognize that there are other companies that want to have their own chatbots, but we want to be the vision and the engine behind that as well.
Is there such a thing in the States as a monopolies commission, like we would have here? Like if companies get too big or too powerful, then we look at them and say, no, we need to break you down because you cannot have that much control. You mustn't have that much of the marketplace. Does that exist in the US?
Yes, it sure does. I mean, one of the most recent examples that I can always think of is AT&T. Back in I would say in the early 80s up until 2000, AT&T was broken down into multiple companies. And of course, the antitrust companies are always after Microsoft and other software entities out there. So yes, there's definitely a system like that in the US. And they're always actively looking at purchases and mergers and acquisitions to ensure that there are no monopolies here in the States.
Unless, of course, you buy into Trump crypto.
Oh, my goodness.
Then there's a whole different world opens up. Burton Kelso.
Oh, it sure does.
It's so wonderful to see you looking so well. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Let's not leave it so long next time. Burton Kelso there, Chief Tech Expert at Integral in Kansas City, USA. Stay where you are. We're talking David Attenborough next.